so now we've got the audio working. Do we have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? I'd entertain a motion if there are none.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, we approve the minutes, approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Item number 4, approval of February 8th, 2022. Do we have any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, we approve our minutes from February 8th, 2022. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next item is item number 5 under old business, permit 2020107 11190 on the avenue deck replacement.
Yeah, so the applicant is here, Amanda Welch, and I believe her husband was here last time. Last time we reviewed it, there were some questions on whether the plan was going to change based on what was needing to be submitted to Pikes Peak Regional. He at that time suggested that the plan may change compared to what had been submitted to the town. So at the last meeting, the commission moved to basically table the application until the same plans are submitted to Pikes Peak Regional and to town staff. And that has been done and completed. The materials have changed slightly as noted in the packet. Instead of the base or the main platform of the deck being timber, it is now Trex material, and the railing was finalized. Sorry, I just realized I'm not sharing my screen. Do that real quick. And so many of the details of the application were the same except for the materials list. And there's also a picture somewhere here with the an image of a similar deck design. So it has the fog panel railing there, the black metal with the decking is going to be Trex, and then all the pillars and posts and everything are the same plan as what was presented last time. I don't have any other further updates, but the applicant is here if there are any questions for me or her.
Okay, commissioners, any questions, comments from staff?
Hey, this is Paul. Just a really small point. I think when we say Trex, we really just mean any composite, right? That's like one brand, but it could be Fibron or TimberTech or one of the other brands. It's composite is what we're looking for. Is that correct?
She specified Trex to me, so that's why.
Oh, I got you.
Put that, but yes, you're correct that there are several different.
Right. Okay, I see. All right. Thank you.
Would you like to make a statement to the commission?
Unless you have questions.
Commissioners, any questions, comments to the applicant?
The only comment I have is I'm happy to see that they have moved to a composite that will be more fire hardened. I've seen too many of those videos where the deck brings the fire into the home and destroys everything. So I'm happy to see that.
Okay, if there's no further comments or questions, I entertain a motion.
This is Paul. Move to approve the deck at 11190 Hondo.
Second,
It's been moved to approve the next replacement application permit number 202201010711190 Hondo Avenue. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. I'll stamp it tonight or tomorrow and place people in the Okay. Help yourself. Be our guest. Okay, so the next.
Next item is item number 6, our land use code update. Do we have an update?
I just had a very brief email exchange with Nina, just confirm, I'd asked her if she had anything to present at this meeting. She said no, but she's still on track to present us with a final draft of that. She said within about 2 weeks' time. So that would give us some time to review it before putting it on a next agenda. So that's her plan as of now.
Okay, so 2 weeks from today, we're supposed to have a draft for planning commission review,
Mhm.
and then we would have it on our agenda for our next month.
Yes, that's possible. And keep in mind, we'd have to, I'm just trying to think, because we need to have a public hearing at planning commission. So I don't know logistically if we may want to discuss it at a planning, commission meeting before we settle on a final draft to be presented at a public hearing. So we may want to look at that and maybe have a second meeting, or special meeting for that purpose. For the public hearing, I'm saying.
Yeah, do you remember off the top of your head, is this one of those 15-day notification things, or is it?
That's the only time frame that sticks in my head as far as public posting in our code. So I'll verify that, but I do think it's 15 days.
Well, it seems like what makes more sense to me is what we get it, be able to review it, and then have it.
So if we received it 2 weeks from today, that would obviously be too late to schedule a meeting unless I talk to her and say, request it, or by the 18th or something, if that's possible or reasonable with her. Or we could perhaps have a meeting on the work session meeting or something on the 29th, which is a Tuesday. It's not the typical 2nd or 4th, but I think we could probably call a special work session on that 29th. And that would give us time to post before the April 12th meeting. It would give us time to post for a public hearing at that meeting. So maybe that's the time frame we could shoot for. And I could
That sounds,
talk to
to
her
me,
about
that
that.
sounds reasonable. If we can get it, we're gonna have the work session actually go through it
On the 29th.
on the 29th.
Okay.
And then schedule in the public hearing of the next regular monthly.
At the 12th. And then in theory, if all goes planned and smoothly, then in theory, we could have, it needs to then be a public hearing at the Board of Trustees, which would be that
The week after.
the 3rd of May, which
So
is,
if we have a public hearing second week of April, the board's gonna be twice a month.
it wouldn't give us enough time to post.
if we have to do it.
So it'd either be which would be fine, because, I mean, assuming everything goes smoothly and planning commission is fine with this draft and recommends approval then to the board, then it's really the real time crunch was the personnel change between
Right.
planning commission and board. That was kind of the timeline we're trying to meet. So if all that goes smoothly, then as far as the board is concerned, we don't necessarily have to rush that with the board. It could be potentially the 3rd or even the 17th for board as well. So,
You know, it would be really nice if we could get into this early enough such that the meeting on the 29th could be a combined like work session and public hearing.
I don't know that would work, because chances are we're going to have at least minimal changes, I'm guessing, just based on how things have gone so far. So we would have to have a finalized recommended copy, basically, to present without changing to the public.
Okay, so right now, try to get everything in time for us March 29th work session. Commissioners, any questions, comments about that?
I can hear Nate pretty well. I cannot hear Todd very well. Nate, can you sum up bottom line what was decided?
We basically think that the best timeline would be to ask Nina for a draft, her final draft, by the end of, well, basically by the week of the 21st at the latest, and then we could, if planning commission commissioners are okay with it, we would, we're tentatively shooting to schedule a special work session on March 29th, which is a Tuesday. We could then go through the draft as a commission, and then assuming, and then any suggested changes then could be implemented to the draft, and then the public hearing at planning commission could then take place on the regular planning commission meeting on April 12th.
Thank you.
Hey Nate, this is Paul. Is Nina up against her contract hours? There was a discussion a while back that she was burning through her contracted hours pretty fast. Is that a factor in going forward?
I don't think so. I think that we're on a good path in terms of percentage complete and percentage spent. But we did, talk about the fact that either way, planning commission is likely going to have changes that it wants to see. So, we just kind of asked her to kind of finish it up as soon as possible from her end, and not, and try to eliminate some back and forth at the end of the process, just to kind of have her have a clear sort of end date, and she passes that draft to us. But I don't think she hasn't mentioned anything to me, as far as that goes, and I haven't received any further invoices since we talked about that last.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, so look, once again, let's go over those dates one more time, just so everyone has them.
Okay.
We're gonna have a work session.
Yeah, so we'll shoot, if I guess everyone don't have to right now, but if you want to, check your calendars and make sure that the evening of the 29th, March 29th, works for everyone, then we can shoot for having that special work session at that date for the sole purpose of reviewing the draft of Nina's final copy, and then go through any changes. We do a good job of tracking those so that we can kind of have that record of what maybe planning commission wants to see change. Have some time for review just to see if any recommended changes, make sure that they're all legal and legal basically. And then we would we need at least a 15-day window for posting public hearing notice for that regular planning commission meeting on the 12th.
Be traveling on the 29th. I may get in early enough to attend a meeting, but I know it's a travel day.
Mars, that's somewhere you could join over Zoom?
I'll be flying that day. It sort of depends on how the flying schedule works. I should be able to Zoom in, but you never know. So.
Okay.
I don't know that necessarily has to be a Tuesday.
Well, for the work session, it'd be nice if we had all members present. But we're not actually voting.
If we did it on Monday, I could meet in person.
The 28th or something?
Say again?
The 28th?
Yeah, I could meet in person that day.
That works for me as well.
That night is a fire mitigation meeting. So we'd have that similar, I mean, if we could, and they would be at the same time, unless we had a planning commission work session earlier in the day, perhaps.
Yeah,
I could probably do that.
Depend on folks' schedules. I wouldn't want to schedule it an hour ahead.
Well, why don't we do, if everyone can just sort of check their schedules, their availability, let me know if earlier in the day, during the business day, I guess, because I think it's going to take quite a while to go through this draft. I mean, obviously, the sooner we all have it in our hands, the more review you can do before the meeting and come prepared, so we don't have to literally go through it, line by line. That would take forever. So we plan on having it in all of our hands, hopefully for about a week at that point. But if everyone wants to check their availability, maybe just that week or evenings. I think the fire mitigation there's board on that. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong month. I think fire mitigation is the only conflict in terms of meetings in the evening that week. So any of those other nights could potentially work as well. So just if y'all can check your schedules and just let me know your availabilities during that week, then we can finalize something.
I know for me right now it's open, but I've got some family matters that are kind of throwing some unknown wrenches into the works.
Well, to be determined then, we can,
Yeah,
I can gather the availabilities and then kind of
let's maybe target
communicate
maybe
later.
earlier on the 28th if we can, so we can try to get as many people here to the work session. And that way, hopefully, we don't overlap with fire mitigation.
Do it early on the 28th. To me, it'd be easier to do it in person. And I could do it that day in person.
Paul, Sean, does that work for you?
Yeah, I can pretty much arrange my schedule that way.
Yeah, it works for me.
Okay, great. So we'll say like 3 in the afternoon or something like that, or 2.
Whatever works for everyone.
Okay.
3, 4,
I'm flexible.
5, whatever.
I think earlier the better, probably. So I'm gonna say, how about 2 o'clock? Does 2 o'clock work for everyone?
That's fine.
2 o'clock.
Paul?
We'll see. Right.
All right. All right, tentatively then 2 o'clock on March 28th.
Okay, but is there anything else on item number 6, the land use?
None for me.
Okay, moving on to new business, item number 7. I think I probably ought to give a little description on this, and if we can take just a quick break, I know why we were getting on that.
Okay, Todd is fixing audio real quick.
But I can switch to that thing.
Hmm.
Can switch back to
I think
that. Yeah, you're on one of these.
No, I'm not sure what you're saying.
I'm just confused to switch back to that.
Oh, well, they're hearing me, I think.
Well, they're here because we're using that room.
Right.
May.
Thanks, Amanda. Oh, sure, man, come on.
Yes, go USB audio. Now we'll all talk. But they can hear me now. Okay. People on Zoom, Wayne. People on Zoom, Wayne, can you hear me now?
It's not coming through the test.
What about it? Okay, how about now? Can you hear me?
So much better.
That's what.
Yep, very clearly.
Okay, we didn't have the sliders up for the audio into that thing. It's okay.
Much better.
Okay, yeah, much better. Catch my breath here. So yeah, I was approached by Historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation. Evidently, they're going around town and basically capturing a lot of data on the various types of architectures we have. And sounds like they are willing to share their data. And not only that, but they are also willing to maybe add in a couple items if we want them to add in a couple items as they're going around.
Like
And-
what items
Well,
are you thinking of?
I think I had about 3. There was, if we had any empty lots, if we had any abandoned buildings, if they can, flag it for, if it's a potential summer use place, and then also potentially tying in with some of the fire mitigation folks to see if they can maybe look for maybe some fire risks.
So it's not strictly historic.
Not, well, that's why I say they seem to be offering to let us add in some things. And, the real intent was to see if there's things under future land use code that we might want to have the data for, but it sounds like a opportunity for them to go around and tabulate stuff and then share the data with us.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they have on paper as far as
Yeah.
what they're collecting data on. Exactly.
Yeah, the forms that they're
Yeah, I
looking
see.
at now.
I just wonder if, are they finding them things themselves, or are people directing them to things that they think are historic, or?
They are
Yeah, I
doing their own purposes, whatever their own purposes are.
Hmm.
I'm assuming they're wanting to just tabulate things for their own use. But they've they seem to be willing to at least share the data and do some things at the same time that may help us for future land use and maybe even some fire mitigation.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is just
Okay.
a discussion item. Just
yeah, and
oh, by the way,
Jesse,
say again.
sorry, Jesse's here. If I can clarify the whys if you need me to at any point.
Okay, thanks, Jesse. Yeah, please go ahead.
So, as we read through the comprehensive plan, and we hear from people that they like the charm and the quaintness of the town, we kind of want to quantify what that actually means. So we have that quantification purpose. We may want to, Mr. Gassi likes to publish books. He may want to do a historical book about what life was like in Green Mountain Falls in 2020. So we've got that. So it's really just an architectural snapshot of what the town looks like, what percentage of the architecture is Victorian, what percentage is log cabin. So it's really a historical reference as to the building landscape right now.
So commissioners, if you have, things that, you think of that we might want to tabulate as well during this process, please get with Jesse, let him know. Jesse, if you could get with David Douglas and kind of keep me CC'd in on what you're doing. If you're coordinating with fire mitigation, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. The survey is scheduled to take place mid-April. There's not a date yet on it. I think the first 9 items on the checklist could be pulled right off the county commissioner's website or the assessor's website. But they will be going around looking at properties, and another project that we're working on is we have artists in residence coming in to start looking at like a art walk tour, a historical home tour, and things like that. So I don't think it's anything to be alarmed about, but it is an opportunity to ask the commission and fire mitigation board of trustees if there's anything they've like added to this checklist.
So if we think of something, would we communicate directly with you, Jesse?
I think that would be fine, or through maybe through Todd and through David Douglas, fire mitigation, so everybody stays on the same page.
I just have a comment, maybe a word of caution.
Mm.
This is Jane. I would advise that you really let people know that this is just a snapshot of what is existing, because if people get the idea that you are looking at their property in a way that maybe they don't like, shall we say, in regards to fire mitigation, you're going to run it. You possibly could run into unintended trouble and unintended consequences. So I would kill it with the information as far as why you're doing this and what you're doing, just so it's so public that you think that you have drowned the people in information.
I have another comment, fire mitigation. This is Nate. The two members of the fire mitigation committee did go, they did drive-by assessments of most of the town. It was Rich Bowman and Dan Batten, who are both, trained firefighters. And even they said with their survey to basically use the information with a grain of salt, because it was just a very quick assessment and they didn't want people to be unnecessarily alarmed, even though, many of the properties in town, we should be alarmed about or whatever, but so I'm just throwing that out there. Some of that work has been done. I have documentation for these drive-by assessments, but so that being said, if there's some very objective thing that could be added, then like, is there a pile of firewood next to the house? I mean, that's something that's very objective that could be not misconstrued. But if there are subjective things that these surveyors may not be experts in, then that would not be something to add, I guess, in my opinion. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, anything, whatever data we get from this, really the intention is for, looking at a long-term land use code. However, if someone does come in and say, hey, that someone's got a bunch of firewood by the house, we would have to go out independently and do an independent town look, basically, before we actually kind of do anything with that at all.
I do have another question about, I know we've talked with Nina a little bit about historic zoning or preservation. So I guess it looked like this company or this firm, that's kind of their expertise is in landmark designation and historic preservation specifically. Jesse, do you know if could they, I guess my question, I don't know how to phrase the question, but their expertise would lend me to think that they could perhaps suggest resulting action from this for historical preservation purposes or town designated landmarks, things like that.
I think if I remember right, the updated code does have a historical section, I thought. You don't think she's doing it? Okay. Anyways, if it's not in there, then we would have no purely historical land use codes type of thing.
But I think she's not including it now because she doesn't have that expertise, and that's a whole another realm of planning and that we're not even touching this go around. But it has been suggested or recommended that the town look into that. So I was thinking this might be a good first step.
It could be a data set for future land use code updates.
Yeah, and I'll respond, Nate, by saying I think that we could definitely ask them to keep their eyes open for those opportunities. I'm sure because that's what they're in the business of, that they will easily be able to identify that potential. I'll say that as a property owner with many historical properties there in Green Mountain Falls, we haven't wanted to have the burden of there's a difference between historical preservation and what we're doing. And so I think that it's a slippery slope, but it's a good data set. We're trying to quantify what is quaint and what is cute about the town. And Jane, I did hear you because I would want to know if there was someone walking in front of my house with a clipboard, why they were there. And my neighbor might come out and yell at them. So I agree that this is first step in getting it public.
Other comments, questions? Okay, if not, we will.
I just want to comment that I think it's a really cool project and I'm glad it's being done.
Okay, if there's no other questions, comments, we'll move on to item number 8, election of a vice chair. And this is at my request. I've got about 4 different family things hitting right now. We've got a sister who's not doing well. She has an autoimmune disease that is attacking her brain. And we've got a brother's father-in-law who just today got taken to the hospital with a stroke. And then on the good side, I've got a potential wedding coming up. Maybe, as long as my daughter doesn't listen to the broadcast. She doesn't know yet. Yeah. Yeah. Oops, I about choked on that one. Oops.
Sorry.
And then my eldest son may be buying a house in Missouri. And so we need a backup in case I'm not here. And so I would very much like to see us elect a co-chair in case I have to bug out and take care of family matters.
And just as a reminder, we talked about this earlier in the year, but then Gregory Williamson was not at the meeting and then resigned soon after that. So we never got back to electing the vice chair. We elected Todd, or you elected Todd as the chair and myself as the secretary. And then we are going to revisit this after the board turnover, so which we still can do. We'll see what the makeup of the commission is at that point. But so for now, yes, all we need is a vice chair.
So with that, I'd like to open up the floor for nominations for a vice chair, at least temporarily anyway.
And
Hey,
the
Todd,
vi-
that was, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to comment and just to say that the vice chair doesn't have a whole lot of additional responsibilities. It's just basically running the meeting if Todd is absent.
Yep.
And obviously you can, there's help for that. So don't be scared.
Guess we can.
Well, that
just
was
see-
going to be my suggestion. Would it be until we get a 5-member commission? Could we just make it on a rotating basis among the existing members? Like Lamar takes it one week, I take it the other, so on and so forth. And then that way we're not closing out the option of maybe somebody, coming on being our 5th, and then they if they're interested in being the vice chair, they could have that option as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Jane just mentioned that is outside the current ordinances. So we really just need to, I would be more comfortable with an individual, at least until you get a full new 5-member board kind of acting as the co-chair.
I move to appoint Paul Yingling as the vice chair of planning.
Pull the trigger first.
Mhm.
Yeah, wow.
Oh God, I thought we were going to do this alphabetically.
Yeah, we reverse alphabetized it.
Reverse alphabetically.
Do we have a second?
Do I have to second my own nomination? Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Sure. Yes. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I'd prefer if you volunteered rather than we forced you.
Right.
This is volunteer.
I'm an old soldier. There are some very unpleasant names for being. Yeah, but anyways, yes, happy. Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
Thank you, Paul.
Do you,
Okay.
Thank you, Lamar.
someone should probably second it just to.
Yeah, someone should
Second.
probably second. We should probably vote on just to
I will second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, thanks,
All
Paul.
right.
I do appreciate it. And like I say,
Sure.
I'll let you know if I have to bug out and head east.
Okay.
Okay. Any other business? Oh, yeah. This afternoon, we had to do a stop order on someone who was basically pulling the siding off their house and putting stucco back on. They had not gotten a permit. And so I think they probably really appreciate it if we, once they get things in, if we could pull together a real quick, and it could be a Zoom only type of thing where we just pull together something real quick, look at the information, because usually these things tend to sail right on through.
And I would say too, I checked Pikes Peak Regional because I was skeptical when they said that they had a permit pulled at Pikes Peak because it didn't show up on my portal like it usually does. But I checked and they do have a permit for stucco work through Pikes Peak Regional, but Virgil talked to them and they had no idea they needed to do something with the town, and now they're in the middle of pulling their siding off, and so
They got
they're
chicken wire on the house.
in the middle of winter. So I mean, I'm fine with pulling together a quick special meeting if you guys are. I can kind of let you know when I get all the materials in and
Yeah, once
do
they
something.
once they get everything in, if we can maybe expedite that through and do something quickly, so they're not sitting here waiting another month. I think they'd probably appreciate it.
Yeah, that sounds good. As soon as we can.
Yeah. So we just need 3 of us basically to do it. And like I say, these things usually sail right on through. So
Okay, well, I will wait. I've sent her all the materials this afternoon, and she's obviously trying to turn it around pretty quickly. So maybe I could have everything by tomorrow morning. I just don't know. But what do you want me to just schedule something just as soon as possible in the evening and see
I
who's
would say, yeah,
available? Or
yeah, because
Okay.
you hate to, like I say, they've literally just got chicken wire in the house, and I have to admit, I'm a little miffed at the contractor. And contractors that do business here in town should know and should be able to help walk the homeowners through.
And Virgil brought up a good point, which is that some of these things that people just don't know. And and so we were talking about ways that we could advertise code, like what is actually required in town, it's just kind of post things, little snippets of code here and there, just so that people are aware and they're reminded that the town has its own rules and governance, and do it in a positive way. Hey, did you know?
Yeah.
need
That
to
I
do
think
this
folks
and
need to
this, but-
understand that anytime there's anything external on their house, just a rule of thumb is better come check with us.
Contractor did not have a business license, but they will now. So
So basically, anytime a contractor has a business license, they should have all the information, correct, about what is expected and.
not necessarily. It doesn't, when they apply or pay for the license, it's really, they are not provided information automatically. It's really up to them to research the rules and regulations. And I will, admittedly, there is a lot of information on our website, but it's not necessarily the easiest to find. So that's something staff can work on just to make it, maybe organize better, or post things on Facebook and remind people, and just try to work on some sort of routine for that to get information out.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard for people to
And they
to
forget,
find sometimes, or
and people forget,
yeah.
you know, and they
Well,
get
that-
into a remodel and they don't even think about coming to get permits sometimes. I mean, I've done that. I've installed my own hot water heaters back up in Erie and fortunately someone said, hey, you need a permit. I went, oh, really? And sure enough, yeah, went into the town hall and said, yeah, you need a permit to put in your own water heater.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to me like a place to start with education would be when a contractor gets a license, if we had some kind of a sheet or something, you know, that we could give them so that they're educated at the very least. That's a good place to start.
Yeah, I can look at that meter revs and interface and see if there's a way to provide information that way.
Yeah, as a homeowner, I expect my contractor to know what they're doing, right?
Yep, I would think so too. So, okay, if there's no other business, it is, what's the time say on your computer? 7:18, and we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everyone.